I
to
don't
wear
know
you
if
down.
you've heard that, but never ask a Polish person how they're feeling unless you actually want to know,
Yeah.
because we are not programmed to say I'm fine, thank you.
Oh yeah, I understand. I understand.
How does that go for you in the UK, Aggie? When people just go,
It's
"How are you?" Yeah, all
it's
right.
been a hard 12 years. Yeah, I'm still adjusting.
Well, I do legitimately want to hear how you're doing, but maybe it's not the best fodder for podcasts. So I should have phrased that differently. Thank you for being here and talking about some Clocktower rules with us. We're going to finish up our minions.
Thanks for having me. I'm super glad to be here.
Means a lot. If you are watching this particular edition of Off Meta Podcast on our YouTube, which is youtube.com/offmetaplays, I want you to go ahead and take a break from what you're doing. You know it's going to be good. So let me tell you about the algorithm, how you work it. You got to like, leave a comment, subscribe, then hit the bell, do all those things, and we will love you forever. Without further ado, though, let's get in talking about some roles. We gave you the minions to finish up our script. We gave you some S tier stuff that we'd already put on here, but the only S tier minion, Ed, he only put the Baron in S tier, which was an interesting, provocative point, I think. What do you think about the Baron as S tier before we get going on these other rules?
Well, I think it definitely belongs there. I mean, I'm not gonna argue with Ed. Who would ever do that in their sane mind?
Me.
Anyway, Baron is a very good minion to play because you can pretty much relax and just do all the chaos that you want without any sort of consequences. If they execute you, what of it? You've already done your thing. And yeah, putting +2 outsiders, very strong. Also very useful for a storyteller, because if you're playing with a player count that does not give you any outsiders, what can you do? Well, you put the Baron in. Great. Or you don't put the Baron in and bluff that you have. So, always fun.
We are not going to revoke the Baron's S tier status. That's the first decision of the day. We weren't going to anyway. But it's good to have it confirmed. Tell us about some of the other minions. Got ourselves a witch. We had them as A, right? You are
Yes.
going to say, is this SOB an S or a B?
Quite a tough decision, and before we do that, another question I had was, how many minions are we pushing into this script? Do we want the standard 4, or are we going for more?
We'll try to start at that, right? So you have 3 more that you're going to be able to entry up to begin with. And if you can make a compelling case, well, I tell you what, I'm here to listen.
I can make a compelling case for 2, and I was struggling for 3.
All right.
And the witch was one that I struggled with, but I would put witch on the script because I always like a minion that can get extra kills. I do not like games to drag. Whenever I can put in a character that gets those extra kills, whether it be during the day, during the night, sometimes just... Oh, the timer's going off again. Great. Sorry, Adam. Then, yeah, let's do that. Which definitely belongs there, especially that you've got some characters that are protective. So, like the tea lady, that would actually be interesting if you bewitched someone sitting next to a tea lady and being protected and they don't die. The witch can go either way. It can be really strong or it can be rather weak and flaccid. So that's why I was sort of on the fence about putting it in the highest S tier. Because you can have a witch that gets a kill literally every day, a very lucky witch, or a witch that just feels to dominate on a given day, and then it's bam bam bam, and you're down to the final 3 in like 3 days. How did that even happen? Nobody knows. But then I've been in games where there was a witch who was super unlucky, and everybody who was bewitched or cursed nominated on the day when they weren't. That's what sort of puts a witch down a notch. Well, it's about the opportunities, isn't it? So as a witch, you can always try the next day. And if you're an unlucky witch for a whole game, but then you get to strike with 5 or 4 players alive and nobody's expecting you because they thought there was a different minion in the game, then cha-ching, that's practically an evil win in your pocket, right?
Well, and I would also say that in off meta, most of our games tend to be smaller player counts than the games that you might see on some other streams just because of the cameras. So we tend to be more in the 9-10 player range, a lot of times in the 9 range. So a witch ends up, like any witch kill on that basis is more likely because there's fewer people. Like if you feel the tingle of a witch curse on you, you know, you don't have as many people to nominate on your behalf, you know, that death is going to have more impact because there's just fewer players to go around. The game's going to go a lot faster, a lot snappier in that case.
Yeah, that definitely introduces a whole new dynamic for the good team as well, because it introduces way more stress. I know people who just will not nominate if they know there's a witch on the script, while usually they are nomination heavy. So it just changes the game quite a lot. You can also use it to confirm in a bigger game, admittedly, because you might not want to curse yourself and then die because of your own curse early in the game if you're the only minion. But if you have more, then you can try to do that to confirm that minion as a goodie. There's such a thing. People lie in this game. It can be metable a little bit, because if you've got a group that sort of knows each other and sort of, oh, I know that's my friend. They would definitely curse me, and that's why I died. And so they can figure out who you are if you're a witch in that sort of group. But pretty good minion, I'd say.
I'd say so. All right, so S for the witch.
Okay.
Yeah.
A real switch, that witch. The next one up, Aggie, for you to decide on is the spy.
I don't think the spy deserves to be in S tier.
Okay.
It can
Straight
stay
out
where
the
it
gate.
is. Yeah, it can stay where it is, or we could even knock it down to be possibly. But again, I'm not gonna argue with that. Especially in smaller games, like you said, a spy can't do super much, like compared to a witch or compared to a Cerenovus or compared to a poisoner. Yeah, sure, you can tell your demon who everybody is, but you can't really do much, for example, against a mayor in the final 3. So if you've got a goodie who's trusted, you can't poison them. You can't really change their info that they're getting, unless you can manipulate them based on all the info you have. Then the spy is not that great for the evil team.
I will say that the spy is very difficult in person for sure, right? You find landmarks on the grim. You go, well, that's my demon. They're 2 steps away from there because you don't know everybody's name. You're trying to memorize things. I'm not a very visual person in that way, so all that kind of stuff plays against it in that context. But you don't feel the spy's impact online as much, Aggie?
I've been in games and I ran games where there was a spy, any other minions that might have been in the game were already dead, and you ended up with, well, not being able to affect the game. And, you know, if you're a Baron and ST a minion, as we already know, you at least weaken town by putting in additional outsiders. If you're a poisoner and you know who everybody is, or at least most of the goodies, then you can poison their information. As a spy, you have to be a really good manipulator with a really good memory, and I just don't think that's for everyone. Sorry.
That's fair. I love the spy, but I have quite a good memory, and I remember everybody's names like pretty much straight away as well. So that's it's easy for me to play a spy, but I appreciate it's not for everybody.
But do you not have a feeling, Hayley, like sometimes as the spy you can't really do that much? You've already told the demon, kill this person, kill that person, but then somebody else is unkillable, for example, because they're sitting next to a tea lady. You can't do much about it unless you manage to get them executed or get the tea lady executed first.
I feel like at that point it then becomes like a Baron, like you just sow your chaos through the town. Honestly, like once if you're a spy that remembers everything, it's then just about, okay, well, let's make everybody look shady, especially myself.
Well, of course, the spy's other power is to possibly register as good, so you can, as a storyteller, you can show a spy as a townsfolk, you can show a spy as an outsider, but then sometimes you'll be a spy and you'll see there is a reminder token on you and you won't know what they showed you as to that washerwoman or to that librarian, and you gamble on it probably being a butler, and it turns out that no, it's not, and people figure you out. So spy is good for some players and in some games, but sometimes it's just tragic.
The spy can be good if we have a Fangu, because then the Fangu knows where all the outsiders are.
Yeah.
The odds in a 9-player game of hitting an outsider anyway are pretty high. It's not always going to do as much work. I do like the spy with the empath and clockmaker on script, and as well as the tea lady, because it could register as good to the tea lady and survive execution.
Okay.
So all of those things are bonuses, but it's not my choice to make. You have put thought into it.
I'm also biased against the spy. Sorry. It's especially if there is no poisoner on this script, then the spy just loses half of what it could do. And especially if we're thinking of small games with just one minion accompanying the demon, I'm sure that Fangu will manage to find an outsider anyway.
So we're going to leave spy. We determined that you can spell spy without the letter S. We're going to move on to the Scarlet Woman.
Definitely, I do want a Scarlet Woman on this script, so Scarlet Woman is going straight into S tier for Scarlet Woman.
All right, tell us why. Why the Scarlet Woman? Wax poetic.
Well, it's always nice to have plan B when you're a demon, and you can get away if for some reason the town decides to execute you on no information at all on day one. And I know we've got a Fangu on this script here, so Fangu obviously has an exit route, but it's nice to have one, and it's nice to know that you can actually make more crazy plays as a demon, ones that might get you executed or might win you the game if you have that backup of actually having a Scarlet Woman. So if your plays get too crazy, the rest of town doesn't like them, then they can just execute you, and there you go, you've got a new demon right there. And then especially if it's a Fanguk, so that could be Fangu jumps to an outsider, then is executed. Scarlet Woman becomes a Fangu, jumps to an outsider.
It maintains its ability if the original Fangu has not jumped yet, but if it has jumped, well, you still get the benefit of having a Scarlet Woman. In the case of a Scarlet Woman, the original Fangu would die. They jump to the outsider, and now they still have that extra life, so to speak.
And if you're a Scarlet Woman, again, you can do several things, as always, because there's no one right way to play Blood on the Clocktower, and everybody gets to choose whatever the hell they want to do when playing the game. But you can try to hide and fly under the radar as a Scarlet Woman, or you can do a bold play and then let your demon try to fly under the radar. If you both get to final 3, then, well, that's fine. You can start looking super shady. Maybe the town will execute you instead of the demon who's still alive, especially if your Fangu has jumped and you have no idea who to.
Yeah, just draw fire, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just so relaxing. If you're a demon and you know you've got a way out, it's such a different game, at least for me. Don't know about you guys.
One piece of advice: if you are a minion and a Scarlet Woman is on the script, tell your demon, Scarlet Woman, you can spell it, but you need an S and an A, and so it moves on up. One of the first game, I don't know if it was his first game online. The first game I ever played with Nikki, it was pretty early on, one of his early games. He was my Scarlet Woman, and he told me he was going to get me killed. And so we just took an adversarial relationship to us. He did not get me killed. I got him killed. Felt really good about that. And we won. So yes, S's. You can't spell Star Pass without a lot of S's. That's an S tier roll. Anything that facilitates the Star Pass, I think. Now we're moving on to the Devil's Advocate. What do you think, Aggie?
Well, I think since you've got a tea lady on this script, you also have to have a Devil's Advocate. You can't just have a free roaming tea lady on a script without something else. Well, it can do quite a lot. Again, it can get very unlucky, just like an unlucky witch that never procs, never kills anyone. A Devil's Advocate might actually get the rhythm wrong because you can't protect the same person 2 days in a row. So if you get the rhythm wrong, you might actually not do much in the game. But again, you can try to hide like that, and then when it comes out in the final 3 that it's you, your demon who's protected, and a random townsfolk or an outsider, then that game is done. Tyler's bouncing.
I was trying to get my rhythm right.
All right, okay.
Getting in the rhythm.
Yeah.
I'm not the Devil's Advocate. Who would say such a thing?
Sure, you're a tea lady, right?
Yeah, definitely. A pacifist,
Well,
always pacifist.
That's a double claim. Well, there is no pacifist on this script.
I know, because nobody respects it the way that I do, Aggie. Nobody respects pacifism the way that I do.
That's just unfair and unjust, and we should talk about it, possibly. Yeah, but coming back to Devil's Advocate as a minion, again, a very good minion to have if you're a demon, if you're a different minion. So I would definitely rather have a Devil's Advocate as my only minion than a spy. At least it can protect you. At least it can pretend to be something else effectively, or at least it can point fingers at other people who, they protected, the town executed them, they didn't die. It's a random townsfolk, but nobody's gonna believe that, and they will double tap that random townsfolk just in case.
I like that
So,
new
yep.
emerging version of playing the devil's advocate, but there's a lot more of that. Yeah, we're just gonna protect this person, and why? Because it makes them look suspicious. People want to
Yeah.
kill them again, and it works sometimes. It doesn't work some other times. That kind of thing. I think that's pretty interesting. But I guess that may be looping back around, and people going, let's just move along. No need to look deeper into this. Let's just didn't get him to
It
die.
might.
No big deal.
Yeah, it also depends on the demons on the script, so I can't wait to see what other demons apart from Fango end up in this particular set. But yeah, depending on the meta of a given group or lack of meta or how people are used to playing, it might be very good to have a devil's advocate, or it might be detrimental because everybody will be like, oh, well, we will triple tap this because of all these reasons, including Devil's Advocate and Tea Lady and everything else that might be on this script. So you might make town distrust each other, or you might straight away draw all that distrust towards you, which obviously would be disastrous, or could be disastrous. But it can help the demon escape if it's also a Scarlet Woman. Protect that demon before they get executed if town gets very, very suspicious, and then that demon can just kill themselves at night, and there you go, Scarlet Woman, off you go. So I think it's a good combination, at least for the evil team. It's really terrible for the goodies because it might be hard to solve.
I think that raises an interesting thing, because Knife and Ninja in chat has said that the DAA is rough since it can create unwinnable situations for good. I think that's a pretty good mark for a minion if it necessitates you killing it first, right? So many times when we talk about the game, especially like when you start thinking about, certain levels of Clocktower, minions that stick out in a big loud way, they actually end up losing the game for the evil team a lot of times because, well, we know we don't have to execute them. We need to execute these people, right? Well, when you have a DA, when you have a Scarlet Woman, there is a much higher necessity to eliminate those particular minions because they extend the game, right? The DA can put you in an unwinnable situation. The Scarlet Woman, will make you tell you everything that you need to know. You thought you got the demon, boom, you got to move on. So I think that means that it's kind of an S tier minion in that way, and it does change the way that people play. You can't just go demon hunting all the time. You sometimes got to kill the minions first.
No, I think it definitely deserves to be in this particular set, especially with the Tea Lady sort of protection. And it introduces just another level of calculations to both the evil team and the town, because you are trying to preempt when the town might want to kill your demon or how many days you've got left, which is also not that easy for the evil team, because they might not know there's, for example, a Tea Lady who is now protecting 2 people, so you might be getting an additional day that you weren't expecting initially.
Well, hopefully our players end up enjoying it, because you have put it, you alone, Aggie, through no consultation of us. We had nothing to do with this. We had plenty to do with it. I will share.
I will take that responsibility. Yep, I'll take it. You can send me your angry messages if you can find me.
I don't think they'll want to say anything mean to you. Does the Cerenovus belong on that script? Is it an S tier role?
I think it's definitely an A tier role, so it can stay where it is. In a small game, it might teeter on the edge. Actually, it could get a foot in that particular door, and if we had space on the script from these 5 minions that you've presented to me, I would definitely put the Cerenovus above the spy.
Yeah, gotcha.
I might have just been hurt by the spy way too many times. Cerenovus. It is a very good minion. It's another minion that can cause death, which is great in my book, because I just like these games to go quicker. People die left, right, and center, if I can make it so. But also, policing madness is not super fun for me as a storyteller. I don't want to be mean. You've met me. I don't like being mean. And sometimes you have to when you've got people breaking madness. So I wouldn't straight away put Cerenovus into S tier, but if we had space, then yeah, because it can introduce a lot of misinformation. But it also makes the games more tense if you are, as a Cerenovus, survive till the very end of the game, and you put madness on that 1 or one of two or one of one good people that are left, they will be very stressed about my breaking madness, which might just prevent the rest of the town from solving the game. So yeah, it's strong. It's very strong. Definitely belongs in A, but not necessarily in S, compared to a Scarlet Woman, a Witch, and the Devil's Advocate.
If we said to you, you can put it in S if you want to, and we'll do like a final refinement of this script. If we end up with too many S tier characters, would you put it in S then?
I think I might. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like one leg in there, or one half of the Cerenovus brain.
Yeah. One lobe, right?
Yep.
I think the thing about the Cerenovus and madness in general, or evil tuned madness, is it's a polarizing topic, I think, in the community. I really love madness. I think it's one of the great mechanics. One of the best part about S&V, if I'm being honest, is madness itself. There are a lot of people that absolutely hate it. I think madness can sometimes be an interesting way. It can make you contextualize your information in a way that makes you think. That's a puzzle that I enjoy. So I think it's interesting. For me, it would have been something that moved up into that S tier. But I do want to honor the fact that there are lots of people who don't share my feelings about madness.
I think madness is great. I love the extra kill capabilities, like Aggie said. And I think it's fun to be mad as well.
Yeah, I think it just depends on your group, because I've met players who just hate madness and they want to break it straight away to confirm themselves, or to just Cerenovus leave me alone, and then the Cerenovus is really naughty and keeping the madness on them even in death, and then we've got an execution of a dead person, and the game goes on, and day 2 is cancelled right now. Yeah. Things like that happen, but I've also met players who just love madness, and they do the best madness ever, and it is super fun to watch as a storyteller. But also, like I said, I'm not a fan of policing madness as a storyteller who needs to listen to people who are supposed to be mad and see if they are. And again, it's sort of different online, it's sort of different in person, so I would put Cerenovus on a script, but with the caveat that you as a storyteller should think about putting it in the bag depending on who's playing, if you know your players at all.
So in chat, Adam, who is ill but is still able to use his fingers, apparently,
How dare
has said that people don't punish poor madness enough. So this guy sounds like a hard ass in chat, real keyboard warrior. When I'm storytelling, I'm like, I think I want to kill this fool. He's all like, I don't know, Tyler. Come on. I was like, I told him if they break madness, and I mean even at night, I will kill them. I don't know. And he's off a little. Okay. All right, Adam.
That's funny, because I've seen Adam be the complete opposite and like ruthlessly kill people for breaking madness, and have
he's a hard storyteller,
players.
soft Grimion, hard storyteller. That's what
true.
I think.